What's up, you guys? It's Jono! Today I'm gonna show you my adventures in Vallejo Waterfront. Now this is also known as Vallejo Marina. I went out here yesterday so that I could find Lapras! I did not find Lapras. Spoiler alert, no Lapras in this video. But I did get a lot of really good clues on where to find Lapras. And through going here and posting about it on Facebook, I got a lot of interesting tips from people on Facebook as well, and people did confirm that you can get Lapras in the location that I was at today. Some people showed me some screenshots on Reddit of someone who found Lapras at the ferry terminal that I was at today. So that's pretty interesting, and I will be going back to this location to attempt to find Lapras. Why? Because this location was lit. There were so many rare Pokemon here. It was a really good rare spawn location. I find that rare Pokemon show up at the same places and they don't show up at other places. And this is a place where rare Pokemon were showing up. I got Poliwrath during this video. I got Poliwhirl during this video. I got 2 Slowbros during this video. I picked up Electabuzz during this video. Those are all going to come up throughout the course of this video. It's a long one, and as always, these are all of my catches in the order that I caught them. Now, it's not every single catch for the day, but it is a lot of my catches, and it's all the ones that I thought were really, really good. For example, Slowbros that were over 900. He's over 900! His power level is over 900! Yes, Slowpoke over 900. Pretty stoked about that, dude. Slow stoked, I guess. So, I'm gonna be pretty stoked about every Pokemon on this video. I only got the good Pokemon in this video. Magikarps that were over 150, that battle pretty well. So I got some good catches, plenty of good catches. They're all going to be at 250 times speed. It's always 2.5x speed on my videos because I've got so much to get through, and it's even like a 20-minute video with the 2.5x speed. So I got a lot of great catches. I was catching Seal here. I was catching Magnemite, Voltorb. A lot of people have speculated online that you catch Lapras where you catch electric spawns like Magnemite and Voltorb, and I was getting them here, and I saw a screenshot, like I said earlier, of a Lapras in the ferry terminal location where I was hanging out today. You'll also notice that I caught a lot of Dratini. So it's a really, really good location. There was a lot of people out. It was a classy location. I did not feel like I was unsafe while I was there until nighttime. Actually, at nighttime, it got to be a little bit of a different crowd. A lot more homeless showed up, and I'm okay with homeless, but generally I don't like to stay around where they camp, and there was a lot of homeless people camping there, like actually with tents. So I was like, you know, it's nighttime, I need to leave, and after I got done here, I went over to Benicia. So I'm going to do another episode of my Destination Pokemon Go series for Benicia, but this is my Destination Pokemon Go series for Vallejo Waterfront. The locals call it Vallejo Waterfront. It was also Vallejo Marina. Either one of those is fine, and there were certain Pokestops where I found that you could put down lures that would give you Dratini a lot more regularly. These ones that were further down away from the main waterfront, I lured both of these and got 2 Dratinis here in half an hour. So it seemed like a good Dratini spawn location right here. This is at the Vallejo Marina. The picture that's shown on the left is where I was, and you can see by the Pokestops where I was as well. That mine one I did not lure. It was too far away from the water, and I was looking for a certain Pokemon on this video, but I couldn't find it. There was also a seal. So one of the horrible things about this location, and locals confirm this for me, really good Pokemon will spawn out on the marina, but you can't get out there because they are locked doors. So those doors are locked. You can't get out to where the boats are, obviously for security for the boats. But when there's a Snorlax out there or a seal that I want to get, well, that's not really going to work out. I want to get that Pokemon. So I was not able to get some of those Pokemon. So I got a tip from one of the locals to move over to this area where the ferry terminal is, and you can see here I caught Mr. Poliwrath. I was running. Look at this. I posted a full video of this catch. You can see I've got the face cam on, so I was talking, and you can check out that video. It's already getting a lot of views. But right here at the ferry terminal is exactly where I saw the screenshot that had Lapras. So next time I come here, I'm going to put lures on all of these Pokestops, and then just hang out in this area. I hung out at a different area because I didn't really have the pro tip. I didn't see the picture of the Lapras until after I had gotten home. So it was a really great tip from the one and only Nate Ginto, I don't know how to say his name, Nate Ginto. He's like the best Pokemon player in the Sacramento region. He's a legend, so that dude's pretty cool. And he gave me the tip about Reddit. I actually don't follow Reddit. I find it a little bit too hard to digest. There's just too many comments that are useless there, and you have to sift through a lot to get the really good comments. So props to all the Redditors. You guys are like amazing. I really have mad respect for you, but I spend my time catching Pokemon, not reading Reddit comments, and I just can't do it. But you can see here I caught Poliwrath. Is a really good spawn right next to the ferry terminal. That right there, that little indention of water that you can see with the land wrapping around it, and it looks like a road goes out into the water. It's like off to my right off the camera right now. That is the ferry terminal, and inside that little wet area there was a ton of good spawns. There was like all the good spawns were spawning in there. You'll see it over and over in this video. I had to run over there to get good spawns. And you'll also notice that I've got the new tracking system as well. Thank goodness for the new SF tracker being rolled out to the East Bay and the whole Bay Area, because I was really sad that I was not going to be able to use Fast Pokemap while I was out and about today, because there were so many good spawns and I knew I was going to miss them all. And then, lucky me, the new tracker was rolled out and I was able to get pretty much every good spawn. In fact, I don't think there was a single good spawn that I missed thanks to the new tracker being rolled out. So that was incredible, and it was just a really good day. And honestly, I had a great day. It was fantastic. I'm going to be coming out here a lot more to try and catch that Lapras. So that's my plan for the future. Lapras is confirmed here. I don't have the screenshot, but you guys can check it on Reddit. I'm sure it's around. Just search for Vallejo Lapras, and I bet you can find it. Alright, you guys, so that's going to be it from me. Enjoy all these catches. Enjoy the Pokemon music. And I'm going to get out of here and just let you watch these catches. Remember, there's Electabuzz at the end of the video and a couple other really good catches, so watch out for those and enjoy my Poke adventures in Vallejo Waterfront or Vallejo Marina. Thanks everybody for watching. Watch these catches until the end, and peace!